How are you? My name is Frances Fox, and I am a trained government remote viewer. I was put in a secret program for mind expansion, looking for human potential when I was a child, and I ended up being trained in all the psychic abilities. I lived for a few months in Tibet when I was 10. I learned a lot, and I worked with other shamans across the world to develop my psychic abilities. Here I am today on X and several other platforms. Um, Ready to share the end result of my horrific choices for this incarnation. And I chose them when I knew what I was doing, which we don't remember once we're born. I chose them in order to position myself to do exactly what it is that I'm doing right now, today, with you. I discovered um, what the tree of life is about, which happens to be the structure that string theory is about, which is a fundamental structure of the universe, which is like a chalice. And it is a structure that is in within all of us, parallel to our spine. And from there is where we create reality. Our intentions are there. On planet Earth, reality is created by intention. So I discovered this 30 years ago. I've been working on it with people and with groups of people for 30 years. Today, I have a following, which we call ourselves mantristas, because what we do is mainly mantras, because mantras are a device that liberate the mind strings, the strings that they're looking for in string theory. So today we're talking about peace. And rather than traveling all over the universe in order to convince you of anything, I'm going to ask you to be your own scientist, which means you observe and you draw conclusions. Let's start with the fact that you need to check your heart chakra, your heart center. What is it saying about me? Not the words that I said, mind control victim, government secret program, string theory. No. What are you feeling here? You have to practice up on finding what is the truth. You have to develop your instinctive knowing, because every day we find out that the people that we've trusted maybe weren't so trustworthy. Maybe they were initially. Who knows what happened to them? It's not important. I didn't. I did a lot of things that was not trustworthy under the conditions under which I lived under mind control. That doesn't make me not trustworthy now, but the only one that can determine that is you from your heart chakra. Don't wait for an authority figure to tell you. Then you need to determine how it is that you feel as you're in this very minor session and how you feel at the end. If you feel much better and your head is much more clear, then you needed this, and this is going to be good for you. What is this with intention creating reality? I did not invent that statement. We have known that forever on the planet. All of our religions try to teach us that. And we hear it, but we don't really understand it because we didn't understand the structure through which we do create, which is that chalice, which is that tree of life, the trunk, which is the chalice, which is the fundamental structure of the universe, and then the branches. But we're not going to go into those details. But we will be stimulating that part of you in this session for peace. Everything else that you look at, and I love X, and by the way, I love my Tesla, and I don't like what's happening in terms of people talking about Tesla. The truth of the matter is that when you purchase something, when you do something and you work with somebody, they need to love what they're doing. None, it really doesn't work. And this is the first time in my life that I have loved a car. The person who made that car loved that car and loved the fact that it was going to be good for me. And that would have been Elon Musk and the staff that he assembled. That's what you should do with everything. You should purchase from people who love what they're doing. But how do you do that? How do you get that recommendation? You don't need to go anyplace but inside of yourself with what the Greeks called the intelligence of the heart. Got it? So, intention creates reality. Why is it that we've created this horrible reality? Well, we haven't understood how intention creates reality, and we haven't understood our subconscious, where we have intentions that are overriding our intention for peace. But let me use an example in prosperity. You want to be more prosperous. Um, and you know that a job in another company is available and you could apply there and you'd probably get it, but you don't do it because you're afraid. You have something secure now. You have an intention to earn more money. There is an opportunity for you to earn more money. It's a little bit risky, not very, but you have a subconscious intention to be totally secure. Because when you were young, particularly if it's around the age 17, your family had financial issues and you never want to go back to that situation. So you have a very strong intention that is fueled by fear of loss and fear of insecurity, fear of not being able to pay your bills. And that overrides your intention that you're familiar with to make more money, to live better, to buy another house, a bigger one, or to travel, or whatever it is that you want that extra money for. You think that you're fully intended on earning more money. No, you're not. You have another intention, again, fueled by fear, that is overriding that intention. And that is how we created the world that we have today. We are doing a lot of things today that are based on a reaction to our fears, and they are overwhelming our desire for peace. So, why don't we energize our desire and turn it into an intention for peace? And to do that, we have to keep vitalizing that intention. The intention is going to be, please God, help us with our intention. Excuse me while I look for, um, you have to wonder why I didn't do this before, but when you can be, um, excuse me a second. Here we go. When you can be caught up in as many creative things as I am, you can actually lose yourself because you have too many different things you focus on. So the intention is, we're going to teach you the mantra. The mantra is going to liberate your strings that grab onto and are holding on to that subconscious intention of never not being able to pay your bills. And these are the strings. The center gold funnel, double terminated funnel, is the fundamental structure of the universe. From it extends 72,000 strings, and they have 5 fingers on the end, and they grab onto things such as the fear that you won't be able to pay your bills. So making a job move, makes it risky. Maybe you won't be able to pay your bills. Maybe you'll get fired from there. Maybe that you're not going to like the job and you'll have to leave, and then you won't be able to pay your bills. The mantra starts to release those strings that are hanging on to that trauma from when you were a child or a teenager, so that it can point in the direction of prosperity, which is the example I'm giving, and in this case, peace. We're not going to get into the different reasons why we may have a subconscious intention that overrides our desire for peace. Fear of unknown, fear of other people. We don't need to get into that. That's the wonderful thing about doing mantras. You actually don't need the information. So we're going to start with asking you to check and see, on a scale of 1 to 10, you're going to see, how do you feel now? 1 is terrible, 10 is great. So go ahead in your head, where are you at right now? And then at the end, you're going to do that again. And you should be able to see if you actually did the mantras, okay? You should be able to see that you improve dramatically, and it doesn't take that long. So let me go ahead and show you another test that you can do that will help you. Do you remember this very controversial gold and white dress? In your head, pay attention to how it looks now. It is gold and white. Some people see it blue and bronze. When it came out 8 years ago with all the fanfare, I saw it gold and white, until one day when I looked at it in the afternoon, it was blue and bronze. And I went, wait a second, that's not the same picture, but it was the same picture. What was the difference? I was in a rage. Something had upset me. I used to have a lot of temper tantrums for many years. And I had a temper tantrum, legitimate, the person behaved poorly, but it didn't really matter. It lowered my vibration. I could no longer see the gold. And that is the point. Your vibration is going to determine your reality. And that dress is showing it. How being full of the rage, even if it was warranted, it reduced my vibration. I could no longer see the gold. We're already into the golden age, overlapping with what I call the iron age or the whatever. But you may not have the gold available to you because your vibration may be low. So I'm going to put it on several times during the mantras, and you might see that you're seeing it getting brighter and lighter, and it may be gold when you're seeing bronze right now at the beginning of the session. We're also going to be putting on some Fox Sensory Therapy music videos, which have images that support this mantra intention. And it also has musical notes and sounds that support your intention. They were chosen very specifically by people that know a lot more about music than I do. So let's go ahead and put up the first, the mantra that we're going to do, which is, please God, help me with my intention to miraculously purify the fear and hate. There is no war if there's no fear and hate. We don't have to talk about theoretical. Please help us with peace. What does that mean? If there is no fear and hate, there is no war. There is peace. We have to get down to basics. We want to get down to causal. And fear and hate is causal, having to do with war, which is the opposite of peace. So how do you do a mantra? You repeat it silently in your head. Expel your breath through your mouth. Your shoulders will relax. Right now, by the way, we are under some kind of psychotronic attack, and I can feel it in my right ear. That is not unusual with people like me that were associated with the government, do not want to be associated with the government. Government never paid, and they still want to control what we can give you. Let's continue. I'm used to working under worse conditions than this. Like that movie, I don't remember what the name of it was, but that the woman's control shot her in the leg. And then he said, and she was shocked in the movie, and he said, are you ready to get to work? In other words, it doesn't really matter that I shot you in the leg, you still have to work. That's exactly what it was like. So whatever it is that's happening now, we continue. The words of the mantra are there, and they're also in Spanish because a lot of my followers speak Spanish. And what is that all about? Well, I'm half Cuban, half German, but what it really is about, that in this country, you have been really deprived of information. You don't even have language for spiritual things. You don't have the language. You're still arguing about whether aliens exist. Give me a break. We've known this throughout history. And the fact that you can argue about whether they exist or not basically stops you from having to deal with the issue, which is what the world should be doing today. In this country, we're still arguing about it. In other countries, they're doing conferences, international conferences about the different types. What are they here for? We need to move along. And you need to quit with the waiting for authority to tell you, because they have it. And they actually, for the last 10 years, they've tried to, and you're not listening. And I know that for a fact. No, you got to prove this to me. Okay, what happened to your intelligence of the heart that Plato and Aristotle say is the most important? What happened to your instincts? We're going to war. You need your instincts. You can't wait for the government or anybody to tell you anything. So these sessions are going to develop your instincts. You need to learn to trust yourself. You can't play games. You need to trust your body, especially your heart. It's called intelligence of the heart. Okay? So I'm going to put the music on. It's going to be a music called trilling, mantrista trilling. Trilling is the sign, is the frequency of the mind strings. That's their frequency. It's the sound of birds chirping. So birds chirping are very good for your mind strings. And that's what we're going to be listening to with other sounds, other musical notes, and also images. So you can go ahead and start and pay attention to your body. If there's a part of your body that tenses up, please take your breath there. And you can also mentally direct the breath and the mantra to the part of your body that is kind of talking to you, telling you that there's a tension there that's probably stopping you from having peace in your life, in your own family. We're doing this for world peace, but you need to know that as you do it, you are going to feel more peaceful. You're going to start to have the vibration of peace, at which time your life will have more peace. So you're helping the outside world, and at the same time, because you're aligning with that intention, you are getting a healing. So go ahead and start with the mantra, which I am putting up on screen, and I will put the music on, and we're going to do this for 20 minutes. And if you have comments, you can put them in the chat. Remember, you repeat the mantra in silence in your head, and you expel the breath through your mouth. You do not move your mouth with the words. Okay. How do you feel? From 1 to 10, compared to when before you started the mantra session? How do you feel? How does the dress look? Is it more gold? I see it very shiny. And when I'm very relaxed on the right hip, which is the left hip, which is the right side of the picture, see that gold line? That's not the dress. I don't see it until I get super relaxed. It's there, but I don't see it. And that's the point. There is already gold coming into the planet, but your vibration has to be the kind of vibration that allows you to see it. If you have a low vibration, you won't see the gold, you won't see the opportunities, you won't see the beauty, and you won't be radiating that to your people, your job, everything you touch. Everything you touch will not turn to gold if your vibration is low. What is the difference? Purifications of your whole assemblage of bodies, your astral spirit, um, closing portals. It's all a process of having an accumulation of stuff that we've been carrying with us. When they talk about carrying our baggage with us, that literally is carried in your assemblage of bodies, and it determines your vibration. And that's a problem, because if you haven't done a lot of personal work having to do with what happened when you were a child, and what happened in previous lifetimes, which repeats in this incarnation. I used to be afraid of telling people, talking and integrating the fact that we live multiple lifetimes, because it would turn people off. But you know what? There's really no more time. Uh, and that's one of the problems with the Anglo public in this country. They need to be spoon fed because they scare off very easily. And there's things that they just have a very hard time incorporating. They prefer to have a lot of question marks. Well, if there's question marks, you need to go after those question marks until you get the answers. And if the answers go against what you were taught, then maybe you need to update your computer. And believing in reincarnation, which is serial lifetimes, is not new. Actually, believing and understanding that the mythological creatures actually existed will make a huge difference for you, because you can get yourself an array of spirit guides that have already accessed their superpowers, such as the mythological creatures, the mythological gods. They existed. That's why they teach you mythology. If it was just a story, why don't they sit you in the classroom and give you comic books about whatever? They don't. They have a system. They have a pantheon. I don't know if that's, I'm using the right word, of gods that we are obliged to learn about in school. If it didn't exist, why do we need to learn about that? They did exist in other times in which we did have superpowers. And as you do more mantras, and as you release things, because doing mantras releases things, it can even release spirits. If you're doing mantras and all of a sudden you feel like, oh, like something left, that was a spirit that left. Oh, yeah, but I don't believe in spirits. Well, what religion were you brought up in? Because every single religion knows about spirits and has tried to teach. And then you get outside of your parochial school, your school or your church, and then you go into a world that doesn't support it. But there's really very little in terms of power that can be sustained for any length of time unless you have learned how to take care of yourself in terms of the influence of the spirit world. And then a short story, and then I finish. And you could put your comments up there. We would enjoy listening to them. Years ago, I did my first video. It was 5 minutes. It was a tape, because that's what it was, 1795. And I took it to a company that reproduces tapes so that I could sell them for 17.95. was in the 90s. And I got a call that night, the day I took it to the company, and I knew the owner. And he said to me, Francis, I just looked at your tape and I've been laughing myself silly. And I went, well, I don't think that's a good sign because I'm really serious about this. This is something I showed to a rabbi, a priest, and a monk. And none of them said this is inaccurate. I said, what was so funny about it? He said, what was so funny is that I used to be part of a hierarchy of Scientology in Florida. And what you're just selling for $17.95, we sold for tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars to our Scientology followers. And do you know what the message of the tape was? Those voices in your head are not yours. Those are spirits influencing you. He said, that information is gold, and we charged a ton of money to help people learn about it and to work with those spirits. Scientology. And of course, they're not allowed to speak about it. He had supposedly escaped from them. But it was interesting because I did show the videotape to a monk, a priest, and a rabbi, and all three said exactly the same thing when they looked at it. They looked at me and said, are you really going to put this out? I said, yes. I knew it was accurate. I didn't have to ask them because I see the spirits. I've been working with them for decades. So for somebody to tell me they don't exist, I mean, that just means that they are not aware. And they didn't explain to me why they were so taken aback that I would actually put this out there. But Scientology knows that most people don't know that. And we're taught that in our religions, and we don't incorporate it. Because those spirits are really good at controlling humans. You have to be really determined to want to know and to understand, because they make it really easy to say, no, that doesn't exist and she's working with the devil. Well, the devil's a spirit, you know? So we'll be back here again tomorrow, Monday through Friday. If you simply want to feel better, you should join us. If you want to contribute to World Peace, you should join us. If you want your family to be more relaxed because you relaxed and you're very influential in your family, then please join us. And we appreciate the comments. Okay? I'm Francis Fox, and we will see you again tomorrow. Thank you for joining us. Really,